So, Optimus Prime, the Autobot leader and pretty much the star and icon of the Transformers franchise, and obviously also the one who carries the franchise too, with Megatron. I know, pretty cool, huh? But none of them is as cool as Peter Cullen himself, the voice actor of Optimus Prime. Like, seriously, he's been voicing Optimus since G1, which came out in 1984. But enough about that, right now we're gonna be talking about Peter Cullen, and so let's just start it off. So, Peter Claver Cullen, also known as Peter Cullen, is a Canadian voice actor born on July 28, 1941. His most famous performance is obviously with Optimus Prime in pretty much every time Optimus appears, whether it's a game, live action, or cartoons. Like, if you see Optimus, it's most likely gonna be Peter Cullen, but yeah, that just goes to show how long he has been voicing the character, and it's a damn shame that we haven't gotten an Optimus Prime movie yet. Like, Bumblebee has one, why can't Optimus get one too? Cause an Optimus Prime solo movie would be a lot more interesting than a Bumblebee movie if it takes place in Cybertron. Like, for some reason, Transformers movie only spent like 1% of the time on Cybertron and the rest on Earth. But now I think it's time for us to know the hidden history behind the Transformers franchise, because it goes much deeper than just, ooh, Autobots good guys, Decepticons bad guys. And so, without further ado, let's start the video. So, before we actually start this lesson, first of all, what are the Transformers, or as the story calls it, Cybertronians? Cybertronians are autonomous robotic organisms, so basically they're just like us, but robots and can transform, and that's pretty much what they are. Now, the history. The history behind the lore of the Transformers is a bit complicated, because there are a lot of depictions of their origin, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to use the Transformers Prime show lore, because that's the one that I am most familiar with, and also the one that I grew up with. So basically, all life on Cybertron is created by Primus, basically like their version of Mother Nature, and as the bots would get created by Primus, someone called the Guildmaster would decide what said bot would be for the rest of his life. And this is largely based on what the bots transform into when they come out. If you transform into a tank, for example, then you will go straight to labor. Now, this process would be done over and over again for a long time, and as the process would continue, the bots would start to form colonies on other worlds. But then one day, they shut down all the paths to other worlds because they were protecting themselves from the rust plague. Basically like a virus that turns any bots to rust. Now, because they cut off all paths to other worlds, that also means they cut off the creational energy that has spread very widely throughout the different colonies of different worlds. And as they did that, Primus just aren't making bots as it used to. Before, bots would be made with a name and a sense of the world that they are coming into, but now bots are being made without a name and identity. Now, this is where we enter the Age of Rust, where things get really bad for the bots. Now, like I mentioned before, bots would get created with a name and identity, and because of that, they are forced into slavery because bots without names just seems more disposable. This mostly happens in the south, where cities like Kaon, Blaster City, and Solar City exist. Now, the south is a hovel full of factories and mining operations, and is so heavily polluted that it damages the bots' optics. The work there is so dangerous that the bots would get hurt or killed every day making products for the higher class, which is the people from the north. Now, the north consists of the middle class to high class bots that do not care at all about the bots in the south who risk their lives making their everyday product. Now, why am I telling you all of this? I'm telling you all of this because the Transformers lore is so much more deeper than what most people realize. Because most people usually just say, ooh, Decepticons are bad and the Autobots are good, while the truth is so much more complicated than that. And if you ask how does all of this tie into an Optimus Prime solo movie, then it's because, you know how I said the South are full of slaves who constantly die for making products for the bots in the North? The interesting part is Optimus came from the North and Megatron came from the South. And so now let's talk about Megatron first. So before he created the Decepticons, he was previously named himself Megatronus, the name of one of the original 13 Primes. He named himself that after he willingly entered the pit of Kaon, where most of the time the fights there are to the death. But Megatron is not the only one who enters the pit, but also his fellow Southerners. Now, why would slaves from the South would willingly enter the pit? It's so that they can gain the love and attention that they have been lacking for their entire lives. And also, fun fact, the pit like the one where Megatron fights in are created because the people from the North have become very bored of their lives as they crave more extreme sports. Which in turn led to the creation of the Gladiator Pit, where nameless bots such as Megatron can get the attention, love, and most importantly, his voice would be heard by other bots from the North. As Megatron grows in popularity by constantly winning, he also would get a loyal following from his fellow Southerners and what soon will be the Decepticons. Now, with his newfound popularity, his voice would reach the Icon Halls, where a clerk would be inspired by Megatron's words. This clerk's name is Orion Pax, or what soon will be Optimus Prime. Now, Megatron and Orion would first interacted via messages, and as one thing lead to another, they started dating. They met in person, and Megatron would actually become sort of a mentor figure to Orion. Megatron teaches Orion equality and how his boring life being a clerk is a dream for bots from the South. Now, as time passes by, Orion and Megatron would stand in front of the High Council demanding change. Megatron demands change by overthrowing the council by force, and you may think this sounds evil, but you could consider Megatron's life before this. The high-class boss don't care at all about the nameless boss like Megatron from the South. Lots of bots from the South would die either from the hazardous environment that they're put into to make products for the high-class bots, or they got put into the glare pit to fight for the entertainment of the high-class bots. So I'm pretty sure you all can understand why Megatron is a little aggressive to the council, because no matter what he says, it won't lead him anywhere. But then Orion steps in and says that we shouldn't do things with force, but rather with talks and negotiations. And of course the council then sided with Orion because it protects them from Megatron. And then of course Megatron then turns his aggressiveness all the way up and starts the war. So yeah, that's about the gist of the history behind the Transformers lore. And if you want to know more, I suggest watching Emperor Kumquat. He mostly talks about the Transformers Prime lore. So yeah, I suggest checking him out after you watch this video. So yeah, that's about the history of the Transformers lore, and it's not just, ooh, well, but it's good, Decepticon's evil. It goes much deeper than that. And also, there's a lot of story potential here too between Megatron and Optimus. I don't know why, the movies never really explore that. Instead, they choose to have a human main character. Like, I don't understand that, but whatever. And also, in my opinion, I think that so far there has been zero Optimus that is a good blend between the wise and father figure Optimus like in G1, and also a leader who has lost many of his comrades and now he is very pessimistic and a little bloodlusted like the one in the Beavers. I feel like the closest one to that is the Transformers Prime Optimus, where we actually explore Optimus and Megatron's past history to a certain degree when they weren't enemies. So if I have the rights to the whole Transformers franchise, what I would do is that I would first make a Megatron movie where we explore Megatron's tragic past and how he's always this maniac who is heartless and just pure evil, and how he's just from a bot who came from a place devoid of love and attention. And so the sequel to this would be an Optimus Prime movie where Optimus and Megatron became brothers to each other and support each other. But when Megatron didn't become a Prime, but a clerk who he taught what equality is became a Prime instead of him, he loses it and starts a war. And the war drags on and so on and so on. And so yeah, congratulations, you have reached the end of the video. Yay! I hope you find it entertaining, and as always, thanks for watching and see ya.